Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 29th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery showing off our clear skies across much of the west coast of the USA here. Got some very high pressure here associated with that Arctic air cooling things down and bringing some offshore winds. But then we're going to switch things up as we go on in through this upcoming week, and we are going to bring a warmer, wetter, and windier potential here to the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at that as we go through the video here today. If you want a nice, affordable home weather station, check this one out. It's all solar powered, all wireless. I've been testing these against my more expensive weather equipment, and they've been doing very well. And you can see it's got a nice smartphone app with it as well. Gives you nice notifications. Can even tell you when it starts raining at your house. Anyway, looking at Spokane, a National Weather Service. Check it out. We go through the gradual warming trend coming up here, and we start to bring some warmer systems in there as well. And you can kind of see Tuesday, Halloween time there. A little bit brisk out there for trick-or-treaters, but not too bad. A little bit of a warm-up from what we're going through right now. Unseasonably early cold snap this weekend, of course. You get north central Idaho, western Montana, some single digits to low teens, below zero near the Continental Divide out there. You guys know the drill. Just kind of an unusually early system here, and snowy and icy roads still have a potential out there also. And now we're looking off into the Pacific Ocean. You can see Japan is here. Check out our jet stream about 29,000 feet. This is last night's European run. It goes about 144 hours. You see finally that Arctic high moves off, and then the return of the westerlies starts to come to the Pacific Northwest. And as you can see, an energized jet stream moving north of the Hawaiian Islands is going to bring multiple storms potentially towards the Pacific Northwest, and some interesting solutions showing up in some of the models. First things first, let's take a look at what's going on right now. You can see some of this wind at about 2,500 feet flowing offshore all the way out across BC, Washington, Oregon, California. It's bringing Santa Ana winds to California as well. It's that high pressure and the Arctic air fan out across the region. And you kind of see that continue on as we go through the day today, including the gorge down there with Washington-Oregon border. And as we go on in through Monday, you see the westerlies just start to return out here, and this is near the end of the NAM run here, but you can see the southerlies finally start to return to the Puget Sound here in western Oregon, southwest BC, as we go on in through Tuesday afternoon. Now taking a look at a wider view of things here, you've got Alaska, BC, Washington. We're looking at 18,000 feet, big ridge here, and you can imagine this allowed that very cold air all the way from the North Pole to drive down across the western USA here. You can imagine that flow around the high and around this troughing here, just driving that cold air down towards the lower 48 states. But then watch what happens to this high. It hangs on for a bit more, and then you notice it starts to weaken, and we start to bring the westerlies, the more zonal flow back into the area. And watch what last night's European does. It starts to bring storm system after storm system into the Pacific Northwest. The storm track gets pretty active into the region here, and we'll take a look at some of those details in a moment. Looking at the European on the Arctic high here across the Intermountain West, and you can clearly see it as set up shop here across much of the area, but it eventually does start to push down as we go through this upcoming week. Excuse me. And then you'll see some of these very interesting low pressure systems. This would be a nice wet system here as we go on in through Thursday. But look at some of these lows that start to approach the coastline. Some big nasties out here as we get some bigger low pressure systems rolling in towards this time of year. And it is November when we start to get into windstorm season here across Pacific Northwest. Something like this would be worth watching. And we're looking at an ensemble member here that kind of shows you where the deepest low pressure systems set up. But yeah, interesting stuff here showing up in some of the extended forecasts. But at this point, we don't have any confidence in any one given solution here. So we have to watch this day by day to try to get some kind of confidence and try to get some kind of certain details here, because the GFS still disagrees with just how strong some of those storms are going to be that are rolling in here. Now, looking at the European last night, this is the deterministic here, mean sea level pressure. You see the Arctic high set up shop here across the Intermountain West. And then you can see the lower pressure systems start to arrive here, and we definitely get a big pattern change as we go on in through this week. This is showing Friday morning, kind of an atmospheric river feature flowing into Oregon there, and a strong low pressure system rise up towards Oregon, Washington, powerful gradient on the south side of that storm. This would be towards next weekend here. So this is just one solution. It brings another strong storm towards Vancouver Island here early the following week. But still, we're trying to figure out those details as we go. Now, looking at the GFS, let's see how much it agrees with the European. You can see the big ridge allowing for that flow all the way down into the lower 48 with that Arctic air. Ridge hangs on as we go on into Tuesday a bit, but then you'll notice the westerlies start to return, and you can see the Gulf of Alaska troughing starts to get active here, and the GFS also starts to show some systems into the Pacific Northwest. Right now, not as close to the coast of some of those big, nasty low-pressure centers as of yet, but of course, we're looking kind of far out into the future here, so we have a long, we have a few days to look at that, but I'll show you starting here when we can expect some breezier conditions to approach. So you can see as we go through the day Wednesday, the European wants to start to bring some wind towards the Washington coastline here after a very benign period. Check out these winds, not gusty at all. And then all of a sudden you just unleash the westerlies on the Pacific Northwest. Some strong low pressure centers showing up in some of these extended runs, some monster storms out there at times. But right now, no confidence in any one given solution. As I mentioned, this is Hoquiam down there as well. You can see the light winds until we get those systems rolling in sometime maybe Wednesday night and through Thursday. And again, some big storms showing up in some of these ensemble members here. So fun fantasy windstorm hunting here looks to be in play for the next few days. And we'll go over some of that tomorrow. We'll try to get a little bit of agreement on just when some of these stronger storms may arrive. This is Seattle, Tacoma, some big wind gusts showing up here kind of sporadically as well. As you can see, there is no agreement, although there are some big storms showing up here through the extended forecast. Look at that one on November 9th, 67 miles per hour, but purely fantasy at this point in any given solution. Seattle, Tacoma, you can kind of see when the rain starts here. Look at this last control run, actually had 2.1 inches in a 24-hour period, and it is our rainy season here, so you can't rule this out, but there's actually some model agreement to this as well. But we'll look at a closer look at this tomorrow. As you can see, we're going to be dry in the meantime until we get up towards about maybe Wednesday evening, maybe on into Thursday morning. And this is looking at the overnight lows. Check out this chilly Arctic air over the region here, and then the definite return onto the westerlies and much warmer conditions as we go through the end of this week coming up. Same thing for Spokane here. Look at some of these overnight lows down into the lower 20s here, and then definitely bouncing back as we bring the westerlies. Now, looking at daily 2-meter maximum temperature across the region, you can see the very cold air here, and this would be for tomorrow morning, mainly Cascades East for the really chilly stuff here. In Montana and eastern Idaho, the higher terrain, some single digits even out there. And as we go Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning, you guys can see the warm-up coming here. I mean, look at the overnight low, only down to 51 degrees there for Friday morning in Seattle, some 20 degrees warmer than a lot of areas were this morning and yesterday morning. And then kind of these storm systems continuing to roll in here in that Arctic air, kind of a distant memory across much of the area. Yeah, this is 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook, above average for much of the west. Of course, as we return that southwest flow, precipitation probability outlook, this is probably even going to get upgraded a little bit more here as we go through the next few days also. And again, they're showing the experimental product showing a slight risk of heavy precipitation. Atmospheric river potential does exist with these storm systems as they approach the Pacific Northwest, and we still have that slight for risk of high winds out there as well. And yeah, just kind of an interesting experimental product there is actually pointing out that same thing we're seeing in the European ensembles also. So anyway, yeah, we'll continue to watch this over the next few days. I am back at work for the next couple of days here as well. I'll be working West Coast flights. If you're bouncing around back and forth between California, Mexico, Oregon, Portland, Seattle, back and forth, San Francisco, I may be working one of your flights. So anyway, I enjoy my day job there at Alaska Airlines. Very fun stuff. And hopefully you guys are enjoying the channel. Leave some comments below here. I'll probably be doing a live stream. Excuse me. I'll probably be doing a live stream here over the next couple days as well. We'll talk about the return of the storms, and especially if we get some windstorm signal and starts to get some agreement between the GFS and the European, then things will start to get crazy, and we'll really dive into those details. But anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.